Dr. Singh and the St. John's College, Agra, for inviting me to share my insights with regard to transactional analysis. And a very special word of thanks to Preeti Masih for introducing me. When the introduction is given, and it puts a lot of pressure on the person, because the audience have a lot of expectations from us. I hope I will be able to meet your expectation. The topic of today's deliberation that is given to me is transactional analysis. ट्रांजैक्शनल एनालिसिस के बारे में बहुत आज के ज़माने में बहुत चर्चा होती है, स्पेशली कॉर्पोरेट सेक्टर में इसका बहुत ज़्यादा इस्तेमाल किया जाता है। वी ह्यूमन बीइंग, वी आर सोशल एनिमल्स, और हमारा जो मीन्स ऑफ कम्युनिकेशन इज बाय लैंग्वेज. We use language to communicate our thoughts, feelings, attitudes, values, and that is how we are able to live in a group, in a community, in a society. So हमारे लिए communicate करना बहुत ज़रूरी है. मैं समझती हूँ अपने waking hours में जो एक काम जो हम सबसे ज्यादा करते हैं वो है लोगों से बातचीत करना. जैसे ही हम उठते हैं सवेरे, घर के जो मेंबर्स होते हैं उन्हें गुड मॉर्निंग कहते हैं. उसके बाद फिर अगर होम मेकर है तो वो सोचने लगती है अभी घर नाश्ते में क्या बनाना है, तो शायद घर के लोगों से पूछने लगती है क्या बनाया जाए नाश्ते में, फिर लंच में क्या बनाया जाए. फिर जब ऑफिस जाते हैं तो ऑफिस में कलीग्स के साथ फाइल्स के बारे में बात होती है, प्रोजेक्ट्स के बारे में बात होती है. अगर हम क्लासरूम सिचुएशन में हैं तो हम स्टूडेंट्स के साथ बातचीत करते हैं. तो जो मनुष्य का जो जीवन है, प्रतिदिन का जो जीवन है, उसमें हम सबसे ज्यादा समय जो बिताते हैं वो एक दूसरे से बातचीत करके बिताते हैं. और अगर हमें बातचीत करने का मौका नहीं मिला तो हमें बड़ी तकलीफ होती है. इस वक्त पेंडेमिक के समय में जब हम लोगों से मिल नहीं पा रहे हैं तो हमारे पास टेलीफोन का, मोबाइल का एक जरिया है हमारे पास जिससे हम लोगों से बातचीत कर सकते हैं. और इस वक्त हम लोग वर्चुअली एक दूसरे से बातचीत कर पा रहे हैं, और ये हमारे सर्वाइवल के लिए भी बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट है क्योंकि हमें अपने विचारों का आदान प्रदान करना जरूरी है. और जैसे कि डॉक्टर पाटनकर ने बहुत सही ढंग से इस सेशन की शुरुआत की कि हम बोलते रहते हैं, एक दूसरे से बातचीत करते रहते हैं, और सडनली ऐसा कुछ हो जाता है कि हमारी बातचीत बंद हो जाती है. और ये बातचीत क्यों बंद हो जाती है? बिकॉज वी टेंड टू हर्ट समबडी, टेंड टू डिस्प्लीज समबडी, और उसके कारण हमारे बीच का जो कम्युनिकेशन होता है वो उस पर ब्रेक लग जाता है, और ऐसा होने से हमारे जो संबंध है उसमें दरार आ जाती है. लेकिन अगर हमें अपने जीवन को अच्छा बनाना है, फ्रूटफुल बनाना है, इफेक्टिव बनाना है, तो इट इज वेरी नेसेसरी दैट आवर कम्युनिकेशंस आर वेरी मीनिंगफुल. Our communications are such that we are able to help each other and uphold each other. और इसके लिए अगर हम अपने आप को समझ सकें कि हम क्यों बात करते हैं और किस तरह से बात करते हैं और ऐसा क्यों करते हैं, तो ये हमें गाइड कर सकता है कि किस समय में हमें किस प्रकार से बातचीत करनी है, किसके साथ कैसी बातचीत करनी है, जिसके द्वारा हमारा जो कम्युनिकेशन का जो चैनल है वो खुला रहे. और इसके बारे में जो आज की जो टॉपिक है वो है ट्रांजैक्शनल एनालिसिस. अगर हम शब्द को लें, ट्रांजैक्शन यानी कि गिव एंड टेक. अगर हमने अपने थॉट्स दिया तो किसी से हमने थॉट्स उसके शेयर किया, और जैसे कि पैसे का विनिमय होता है, लेन देन होता है, वैसे हमारे विचारों का भी लेन देन होता है. तो आज हम देखेंगे कि हमारे बीच में जो विचारों का लेन देन भाषा के द्वारा होता है, डायलॉग्स के द्वारा होता है, उससे हमारे अंतर व्यक्ति संबंध के बीच में कैसा प्रभाव पड़ता है और उसका हम कैसे फायदा अपने संबंधों को अच्छा बनाने के लिए कर सकते हैं। तो इसके लिए हम अभी स्लाइड्स में जाएंगे और लेट्स सी द स्लाइड्स एंड उसके बाद मैं आपसे शेयर करूंगी। जो आज का जो टॉपिक है वो है ट्रांजैक्शनल एनालिसिस। अगर आप देखेंगे कि ट्रांजैक्शनल एनालिसिस का मतलब है हमें विश्लेषण करना है हमारे विचार विनिमय का, हम किस तरह से बात करते हैं और क्यों करते हैं और ये किस प्रकार से होता है, इसके बारे में थोड़े समय के लिए हम चर्चा करेंगे। एरिक बर्न एक साइकेट्रिस्ट थे जो कि फ्रॉइड के अंदर उन्होंने ट्रेनिंग ली थी, लेकिन धीरे धीरे उनको ये समझ में आया कि कुछ बातें जो हैं वो सबकॉन्शियस और अनकॉन्शियस लेवल पे जरूर होती हैं, लेकिन कॉन्शियसली भी हम उसमें बदलाव ला सकते हैं। और इसी कारण उन्होंने 1950s के एरा में, टू बी एग्जैक्ट 1956-57 के बीच में उन्होंने ये ट्रांजैक्शनल एनालिसिस का जो कॉन्सेप्ट है वो उन्होंने बताया कि किस प्रकार से लोग एक दूसरे से बातचीत करते हैं, जिसके द्वारा उनके संबंध अच्छे भी हो सकते हैं और उनके संबंध बिगड़ भी सकते हैं। और इसलिए और तब से अभी तक इस टेक्निक का खास तौर से कॉर्पोरेट सेक्टर में बहुत अधिक मात्रा से यूज किया जाता है। 1964 में उनकी एक किताब निकली थी, गेम्स पीपल प्ले। हम लोगों के साथ गेम्स खेलते हैं जिसमें कि अपना समय बिताएंगे। हमारे अंदर ईगो स्टेट्स होते हैं, हम सेंस ऑफ सेल्फ जो होता है जिसको हम ईगो कहते हैं, वो व्यक्ति के अंदर 3 लेवल का होता है, एक पेरेंट, एक अडल्ट और एक चाइल्ड का। एरिक बर्न के अनुसार हम जब पैदा होते हैं और हमारे माता पिता हमसे जिस तरह की बातें करते हैं वो हमारे दिमाग में एक स्क्रिप्ट के जैसे, जैसे नाटक का एक स्क्रिप्ट होता है, वो स्क्रिप्ट के जैसे हमारे मेमोरी में स्टोर होता जाता है। अगर हम देखें अगर हम याद करें अपने अपने बचपन को, तो बचपन में हमारे माता पिता ने हमसे किस तरह की बात की। उन्होंने हमसे कहा बेटा यहाँ मत जाओ, ऐसा नहीं करो, चोट लग जाएगी, आंटी आई हैं उनको नमस्ते करो, गुड मॉर्निंग करो, थैंक यू कहो, सॉरी कहो। ये सब बातें हमारे माता पिता ने, हम जब छोटे थे, जब हमारी भाषा का हमारा भाषा डेवलप हो रही थी, तब ये सारी बातें हमारे माता पिता ने हमसे कही। और अगर हमें अच्छा व्यवहार करने के लिए उन्होंने इतने सारे इंस्ट्रक्शन दिए, तो कई बार जब ऐसी परिस्थिति आई जब हमें उनकी जरूरत थी, तो उन्होंने हमें अपने गोद में लिया और हमें पुचकारा और हमें सांत्वना भी दी। और जब हम अपने आप में लो फील कर रहे थे एज अ चाइल्ड, उन्होंने हमें अच्छा फील किया, प्रोटेक्टेड फील किया। जब हमें चोट लग गई तो हमें सांत्वना देके हमें पुचकारा और बहुत हमारा ध्यान रखा। जब हमें भूख लगी तो हमें जो खाने की इच्छा थी वो उन्होंने हमें खाने की चीज देने की कोशिश की। बहुत बार बच्चों को कुछ वेजिटेबल नहीं पसंद आते हैं तो मम्मी कहती है अच्छा बेटा मैं तेरे लिए तेरी फेवरेट चीज बनाती हूँ। इस तरह की जो बातें हैं हम सबों के जीवन में बचपन में हुई है। और वो जो है एरिया, वो पेरेंट का एरिया है। लेकिन जैसे जैसे हम बढ़ते हैं, बच्चे से हम बड़े की ओर जाते हैं, तो हमारा एक बचपन का एक समय होता है। और आप सब मेरे साथ सहमत होंगे कि जो स्टेज हमारे बचपन की थी, हम सब चाहेंगे कि हमें वो स्टेज हमें फिर से देखने का मौका मिले, क्योंकि वो सबसे केयर फ्री स्टेट थी जिसमें कोई चिंता नहीं थी, कोई फिक्र नहीं थी, जो मन करता था हम करते थे, जैसे भी व्यवहार करना था, हमें किसी भी प्रकार की रोक टोक नहीं थी। लेकिन जैसे जैसे हमारी उम्र बढ़ने लगी, वैसे वैसे हमसे कहा गया ये सही नहीं है, ये गलत है, आपको ऐसा व्यवहार करना है, आपको वैसा व्यवहार करना है। और इसलिए हमारे अंदर एक फैक्ट से रिलेटेड बातें आने लगी। जब स्कूल जाने लगे तो हमको सवेरे उठाया गया, सवेरा हो गया बेटा, स्कूल जाना है, चलो जल्दी तैयार हो, जल्दी ब्रेकफास्ट करो, टाइम पे पहुंचना है, और टीचर को गुड मॉर्निंग कहना, और इतने बजे आना, कितना होमवर्क करना है, ये सारी बातें भी हमें बचपन में सिखाई गई। और जैसे जैसे हम बड़े होते गए, हमने अपने आप में एक इंडिपेंडेंस आता गया, और उस इंडिपेंडेंस के समय में हमने अपने वस्तु स्थिति, अपनी जो फैक्ट्स है, अपनी जो रियलिटी है, उसको एक्सेप्ट करके जीवन में हम आगे बढ़े। तो जब हमारे जीवन में इस तरह के बदलाव आए, फ्रॉम आवर चाइल्डहुड टिल आवर प्रेजेंट स्टेट, parents have had an influence on us. As a child we have had a very nice time, or maybe we did not have a very nice time. We cannot always say that all our childhood was very pleasant and very happy. There were times when we were not happy as well, जब हमको डांटा गया, हमको सजा भी मिली। सो ये सारी बातों को लेकर आज हम ऐसी परिस्थिति में खड़े हैं जहां पर कि हमारे पेरेंट्स के द्वारा दी गई शिक्षा, बचपन की वो सारी अच्छी और बुरी बातें, और आज की जो रियलिटीज है, हमें इन सब को साथ में लेकर चलना है। तो जो पेरेंट, अडल्ट और चाइल्ड, ये जो तीन ईगो स्टेट है, ये एक व्यक्ति के अंदर होते हैं। One person will have these three different dynamic, interchangeable ego state. A state means एक अवस्था है, और वो अवस्था जो है, वो स्टेट जो है, वो कभी भी चेंज हो सकती, इंटरचेंज हो सकती है, डिपेंडिंग ऑन द सिचुएशन। सो नाउ लेट अस लुक एट द पेरेंट ईगो स्टेट। पेरेंट ईगो स्टेट में दो प्रकार के ईगो स्टेट होते हैं। एक है क्रिटिकल पेरेंट, और दूसरा है नर्चरिंग पेरेंट। जो क्रिटिकल पेरेंट है वो बड़ा रूल्स रेगुलेशन वाला होता है, शुड्स एंड मस्ट एंड डूज एंड डोंट्स, एंड ऐसा करना है, वैसा करना है, ये गलत है, ये सही है। हमारे सब पेरेंट्स ने हम लोगों के साथ ऐसा किया है। सही किया है तो हम लोगों को अच्छा कहा है, और गलत किया है तो हमको सजा भी मिली है। हम सब अपने बचपन में जाके इस चीज को याद कर सकते हैं। उसी की जगह में हमारे पेरेंट हमारे साथ बड़े नर्चरिंग, बड़े केयरिंग, वेरी प्रोटेक्टिव, वेरी लविंग ऐसे थे, जिसमें कि बहुत अनकंडीशनल एक्सेप्टेंस था, होप था, ऑप्टिमिज्म था, एंड एक सूदिंग इफेक्ट था। और उन्होंने हमारे अस्तित्व को पहचाना, सेल्फ रिकग्निशन था, मेरा बेटा सबसे अच्छा है, मेरी बेटी सबसे अच्छी है। बहुत बार एज अ टीचर हम सबों ने ये चीज देखा होगा, जो टीचर्स लोग इस ग्रुप में है, कि जब हम किसी बच्चे की कंप्लेन पेरेंट्स से कहते हैं, तो पेरेंट्स इस बात को मानने को तैयार नहीं होते। उनको लगता है मेरा बच्चा कोई गलती नहीं कर सकता है। ये उनके नर्चरिंग पेरेंट से आता है। उनके हर पिता, हर माता को ऐसा लगता है कि मेरे बच्चे में कोई फॉल्ट नहीं हो सकता, कोई गलती नहीं हो सकती, मेरा बच्चा बहुत अच्छा है। वो उसके नर्चरिंग पेरेंट से आता है। लेकिन वही माता पिता जब वो बच्चा घर में कुछ गड़बड़ करता है तो उसे डांटते भी हैं, फटकारते भी हैं, कई बार उस पर हाथ भी उठाते हैं, तो वो उनके क्रिटिकल पेरेंट से आता है, और बच्चा ये सब एक्सपीरियंस कर रहा है। अब हम चलते हैं सी पे, चलते हैं, दैट इज चाइल्ड। चाइल्ड जो है वो दो या तीन प्रकार का होता है। इस स्लाइड में दो ही है, मैं तीसरे के बारे में भी बताऊंगी। एक होता है अडेप्टिव चाइल्ड। ये ऐसा बच्चा होता है जिसको एडजस्ट करते, अडेप्ट करते रहना पड़ता है। वो कुछ करता है, उसको डांट पड़ती है, वो बोलता है आई एम सॉरी। एक्चुअली अगर हम सॉरी का मतलब समझे, सॉरी का मतलब ये होता है कि हम फिर रिपीट नहीं करेंगे। लेकिन ये बच्चा सॉरी शब्द जो है वो अपने बचाव के लिए करता है, केवल कहने मात्र के लिए, अडेप्ट करने के लिए, उस समय की टेंशन को हटाने के लिए वो सॉरी कहता है। लेकिन बाद में फिर जाके वही गलतियां करता है, क्योंकि जो भी उसके दूसरे रीजन हो जो उसको मोटिवेट करते हैं वो सारी गलतियां करने के लिए। इस डिस्कशन में वो एरिया में मैं जाना नहीं चाहूंगी, क्योंकि हमें और भी बहुत सारी चीजें डिस्कस करना है। तो इस तरह के जो लोग हैं अडेप्टिव होते हैं,
I think there is some problem in the internet.
मैम का कनेक्शन ब्रेक हो गया है. She'll rejoin us very soon. So let's wait for a while.
Yes, sir.
If someone could contact her over phone.
I think Priyanka is contacting her.
सर उनके एक्चुअली लाइट चली गई है, so she is switching over to the mobile data now. Yeah, the Wi-Fi has gone.
So please wait for a while.
Yeah.
I think very soon she will be here. I've sent her the invitation link on the phone, so it would take a few minutes for her to come on board.
Hello.
Yes, ma'am, we can listen to you. Please start.
Can I start?
Yes, ma'am, yes, sure.
Okay, only I won't be able to share the slides.
That's not a problem, ma'am. You can continue.
Uh, well, I think, is it all right?
Yes,
No,
ma'am.
ma'am, you can start, please.
Okay. So the third one is a rebellious child. And if we look at this rebellious child is a person who is always complaining, who is always doing things more on the destructive side. And I'm sure all of us have this experience. And we, at some time or the other, we have also been rebellious as a child. And our children have also been very rebellious. At times, they have been adapted or they have been a free child. So in one person's personality, these two are predominantly present. And the third one is the adult ego state. Adult ego state is basically governed by reality. Ego is definitely governed by reality. According to Freud, it is reality based state of unconscious state. So when we are conscious about the situation, when we talk about facts and figures, we are actually talking in terms of practical side of life. And we are being practical, that is the sign of being adult. So the adult ego state is non-judgmental, it is open-minded, and it is more confident and reality based. So if we compare all the three ego state, that is the parent, adult and child, we will realize that parent is more to take care of us as well as being critical of us. Child is more of a free child, that is where one enjoys the life, enjoys the conversation. And adapted child is somebody who is always in a situation to please people, more on the passive side. Now, if we move ahead now, with these three ego state, which is inside one person's personality, what we see is that when we talk to people, we have different kinds of transaction. The first one is a complementary transaction. When we talk about complementary transaction, it means there is a parallel transaction. For example, if somebody says good morning Dipti, I will say good morning to the person. In other words, somebody is addressing who from his adult to my adult. Somebody has seen me, so he acknowledges me, and in return I say good morning back to the person. But if somebody says good morning Dipti and I say what's so good about this morning, there is some problem in my transaction. So this is how, when we talk about to each other, most of the time we have complementary transactions. The second type of transaction that we have is called crossed transaction, where the path crosses. And I wish the electricity comes back and I'll be able to show you the slides. And the third one is the ulterior or a duplex type of transaction, where a person says something and means something. For example, एक famous dialogue है, आज सूरज कहाँ से निकला? When we say सूरज कहाँ से निकला, what does it mean? It only means we are being sarcastic. Something is happening which usually doesn't happen. So instead of directly saying कि तुमने कुछ ऐसा किया जो out of the way है, we say आज सूरज कहाँ से निकला? So this is how we transact our thoughts with people. And when we talk to people, where, and if it is a complementary transaction, there is no, give you an example. One person from his parent to another person's parent says, kids are lazy these days. The other person says, yes, they don't listen to us. Now the two critical parents are talking to each other. One parent is criticizing the children being lazy. The other parent is agreeing. Yes, nowadays they don't do anything. So this is how both the parents are sitting and having a nice gossip session, parent to parent. It's a complementary conversation that is taking place. The second one could be adult to adult. Good morning, Dipti. Good morning. How are you? I'm fine, thank you. So this is an adult to adult transaction that is taking place, which is very here and now, very factual, where there is no controversies. There are no emotions attached to it. The third one is child to child. I really like you. What will be the answer? I like you too. So one fellow likes me, I like him or her back. So it's a child, it's a very good feeling. You have a nice dress. Your dress is also good. Let's have ice cream. Yes, that will be fun. So we are at the same level, at the free child level, enjoying each other's conversation. Sometimes there can be a complementary transaction between parent and child. For example, a person from his parent will address the child of another parent, another person. What, have you finished your work? And then he will say, no, this little time is there. Give me some more time. So it is the parent who is telling the child, have you finished? Your time is up. You better finish it. And the child, from his adaptive child, he says, just give me a little more time. I'll finish it. So he is being apologetic. He is being adaptive.
मैं सोच ही रही थी मैंने डग की आपने डिवाइस तो लगा ली उसको कनेक्ट नहीं किया वो अभी तो नहीं आई
Hello? I can't hear you.
Yes, ma'am, we can hear you. Please continue.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So this is how we converse with each other, like parent to child. Maybe there could be child to parent. I'm not feeling very well. I'm speaking from my child to somebody's parent to look after me. What happened? Shall I get you a cup of tea? Immediately the nurturing parent comes into the picture. So when we are talking to our colleagues, these are the kind of transactions that we have. Like, I go to my staff room and I say, today I'm not feeling very well. Immediately my colleague comes, what's wrong? Have a cup of tea, have a glass of water. They are being nurturing parent to me. And I like it because I'm speaking from my child to them. I'm reaching out to them to help me. And they are reaching out to me to help me, make me feel comfortable. So these are the type of transaction that are known as complementary transaction. Another transaction in complementary between parent and child could be, one person says, how could you be so stupid to make so many typing mistakes? This is the boss telling the secretary. The secretary says, I'm trying my level best. I'm trying my best. Your handwriting is so bad. I cannot read it properly. So it is a parent to child, and the child replies, I'm sorry. I'm trying my level best. And these are the conversations that takes place on almost on an everyday basis, on a regular basis. Now, this particular example that I have given you, where there is a critical parent who is making the other person feel stupid, and the other fellow says, I'm sorry, it is a parallel communication, but it is not a good communication. Why? Because one is criticizing, the other one is feeling apologetic. And if this is the pattern that goes on, a time will come, the second person will start disliking the person who is always interacting from his critical parent ego states. Another example we will take, where one colleague is talking to another colleague and he says, I'm so worried about my son. I can't concentrate on my work. my son is sick. The other colleague, what does he say? Why don't you leave early? I'll look after your work. Now you can check it. Who is talking to whom? It is the child of one person reaching out to the parent of another colleague and says, I'm not able to work properly. Why? Because I am worried about my son. And the other colleague immediately comes like a nurturing parent and says, why don't you go? I'll look after your work. So he is trying to come and support us. But this type of complementary transaction, on face value, it is very good. But if it continues for a long time, one person will continue to take the help of the other person and will not take the responsibility. So complementary transactions are good, but in excess when they are used, it may become harmful, because every time somebody will try to take advantage of each other. Now, one more example between parent and parent. There is a scene where two adults are sitting in the garden and they are looking at the children playing around. And one person says, those children really miss their father. Those children have lost their father and they are playing in the garden. And these two people who are sitting there on the bench are discussing these children who have lost their father. The other person says, yes, let us take them to the park for little fun. What are they doing? Both are parent. Both are talking from their nurturing parent. They are feeling sorry for those children who has lost the father, and they want to play father. They want to play father to these children. So this is a very productive way of interacting with each other.
would have responded. मैंने उसका confirmation भी भेजी नहीं सकता जब आपने consent किया था. Today is 16th. We are 12 days behind.
I think SP sir has to mute. Yeah. Can I go ahead now? Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Sure,
ma'am.
sure, please.
Yeah, continue.
Now we come to the next kind of transaction, that is known as cross transaction. Now, if you just visualize that you have one person A and another person B, and you have three circles below them, you can, if you have a paper and pencil, you can just draw it on your notebook, make A and B, and then put three circles below it, one after the other in a vertical order. And you can put PAC of A and PAC of B. So there are two people with three ego states facing each other. And now they will have a cross transaction. So let's say what the A says. A says, what is for dinner? What is he doing? He is addressing from his adult to another person's adult. Maybe they are A and B are the husband and wife. So husband says, what is for dinner? One inquiry is there, very simple inquiry. What is for dinner? The answer that you get is, stop bothering me. Now, B is saying, stop bothering me. What does it mean? It is the critical parent who is addressing the child of the husband. Husband is asking a very simple question of adult. What is for dinner? And wife says, stop bothering me. From her critical parent to the husband's child. Now husband may say something else and they may end up having an argument. And then the whole evening will get spoiled. Another example we can take. Again, A and B are there. One fellow says from his child, let's have some fun. I'm in this weather, that is a usual way people talk. So the other person will say, can't you ever be serious? Now, when A says, let's have fun, the other person could have said, yes, let's have some fun. But then this person's, why can't you be serious? Again, there is a critical parent who is addressing the child. The conversation gets crossed. When the conversation gets crossed, it creates problem. Let's take another example. One person says, "Good morning, how are you?" It's an adult to adult address. And then one says, "I'm not feeling very well." What does the other person says? "I'm not feeling very well." He is feeling sick. So he is at the child state who is needing some help from the parent to look after him or give him some kind of a consolation to make him feel good. Again, there is a cross transaction. One more example. What is the time? It is an adult to adult conversation. What is the time? The answer that fellow gets is, "Why don't you keep a watch?" He has asked on 10:48, but you say, "Why don't you keep a watch?" Next time the fellow will not feel like talking to the person. Another example we can take. One person says, "Let's have fun." He says, "You don't have any other business?" So like this, we have conversation where we tend to hurt each other whenever we have a crossed transaction. Then one last example I will give from cross transaction, that is one adult says to another, "Have you seen the contract, madam?" It is in the office setting, adult to adult. The other person says, "If you keep things in proper place, you won't have to ask me." So it's a parent, critical parent addressing a child. So there is a cross transaction. And whenever this kind of cross transaction takes place, people get hurt, people get upset, and that is where the communication breaks. The third one, the more dangerous one, is ulterior transaction. Now in ulterior transaction, the transaction at the social level is something and at the psychological level is something else. I had given you the example of one, the "Aaj Suraj kahan se nikla." That's a social message. But what does it mean? Something unusual is happening. Now in ulterior motive, message is sent in a very indirect way, which is very socially acceptable. Now let's take some example. There is a conversation between two people, two colleagues. One colleague says, "How did you like my report?" I'm sure we keep doing this in our working area. "How do you like my report?" The other person says, "It was okay." The way he says it was okay, the fellow gets the message. It was not good enough. So when we ask from adult to adult, "How did you like my report?" a person could have said, "It needs some improvement," or "certain points are missing." We would be able to accept it. But if you say, "It was okay," person will say, "What was wrong in it? You did not like. Can you write the same kind of a report as I have written?" There's so many other thoughts are coming and creating problem. Second example, again, adult to adult, it is at a social level. "Would you like to come in for a coffee?" When do we invite somebody to come in for a coffee? Because we would like their company. The person says, "Yes, I would like to have some coffee with you." Now the communication is taking place at a very social level, and underneath the level is, "I would like to spend little time with you." Most of the time, when do we call somebody for a cup of coffee? It is because we would like to spend little more time with that person. And this is a very common phenomena in college, where boys and girls would like to go for a coffee, would like to go for a ice cream, or maybe some other goodies, just to be with each other's in each other's company. So the social message is something else, and underneath the social message, the message that has to be put across, the receiver receives it. One more example of ulterior or angular transaction is where adult to adult the dialogue is, this is our top prior item, but probably out of our budget, out of your budget. Now, what are you trying to say? Many a times you must have experienced it, that when you go to the shop, and especially a shop where they sell all expensive things, and if you are not dressed equating that standard wherever you are visiting, they will look at your appearance and they will make a judgment and think that you cannot afford to buy it. If you are simply dressed, then can you afford it? It is too expensive. They will give you an answer like that. And it can be very offending because appearance do not tell our financial position. Just because we are not dressed or overdressed, people may judge us differently. And that is how they may give us a remark, can you afford it? Such an expensive piece of item. And that can be very insulting and humiliating for us. So these kind of ulterior transaction takes place. In an office setting, boss may say, are you sure the work will be done in 2 hours time? In other words, he says, you better complete the task in 2 years time, 2 hours time. He doesn't say you complete it, but he questions. He says, do you think it will be ready in 2 hours time? And the worker says, plenty of time, sir. But what does he understand? We are trying our best. Still, this person is forcing us to complete it. When NAC comes, we all work against time. And every time our boss tells us, please finish it within stipulated time. And every time we say, we are trying our best. What else can we do? So there is an angular transaction that takes place. Now, when we have these kind of transactions, both complementary, crossed, or ulterior, we are speaking from one kind of a position, the position that we hold about ourselves. Now, to explain this concept of position, let's take the example of a family. In a family, father has a position, mother has a position, elder son or daughter has a position, and youngest son and daughter has a position. In other words, everyone has a position in the family, and we all act from those positions. Father, as a position of a breadwinner, believes that whatever I say, everybody in the house need to follow it. Mother, who is looking after everyone, has a position where she also reacts and talks in such a way where she has certain expectation from husband, from children. The elder child has a position, so because of that position, he may dominate over the younger child and may respect the parents. So different types of behavior. The younger child is a spoiled child, ladala bacha. He will take advantage of every situation and he will work from his position. And I'm sure you will agree with me that we all have certain position in our family, and that is how we interact with our family member. In a classroom situation, teacher has a position from where teacher interacts with the student. Now in a class, within the class, there is a bully who has a position of a bully, so he behaves that way. There is one submissive, docile child, he acts from that position. There is a very bright child, very studious child, he acts from that position. So we all have different positions in different situations. But according to transactional analysis and Eric Berne, in life we have certain positions which is related to the kind of attitude we have towards ourselves, at the same time the kind of attitude we have towards others. And if we make X and Y axis and we can make a small graph, we will know that I can be okay with myself or I may not be okay with myself. I can be okay with others, or I may not be okay with others. So these are positive and negative feeling that we have towards ourselves as well as towards others. In that case, what happens? Let's take a lifespan. A small child, a baby, is helpless, dependent on other people, on adults. So he is in a position where he says, I'm not okay, but you are okay. He is depending on somebody else. That tendency to depend is there. My electricity has come, so I think I better join. So shall we do that?
Yes, sure, ma'am.
I have got.
Yes.
I think that will be better. I'll be able to show you the slides.
Yes, ma'am. Please do so.
Just give me 2 minutes to join you.
Sure.
The lights have come back.
No problem, ma'am. Take your time.
Just 2 minutes.
Sure, ma'am.
Meanwhile, ma'am, we can request the participants to put their questions in the chat box if they have any questions,
Yes, they can do that.
because the questions will be taken up after the talk.
Yeah. Sushila? Just a minute. Sushila, light
Yes,
आई है
ma'am.
ना?
Take your time.
हम नहीं हो रहा मेरे. Ah, done. Yeah, it's just getting connected. Yeah, now I'm connected. I'll just join you. In the meanwhile, the students can also do one thing, and that is if they can make a PAC diagram. So much time has gone wasted because of this light.
No
Usually it
problem, ma'am.
doesn't.
No problem. Actually, the topic is very good. And students, they are not much aware of this topic.
Can you see the slide now?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am. Yes,
Yeah,
ma'am.
yeah. Now it's there.
Yes, we can see.
Okay. Let me. I had to. Just a minute. I need to come out. Is it, am I audible now?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Actually, my let me get out of the mobile.
Yes, your voice is coming back actually, echo,
Yeah, because mobile is not yet put off.
disconnected.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is my voice audible now?
Yes, ma'am. We can, it's very clear.
So now we were in the we were at the life positions, and if you can see here, we have on the x-axis and the y-axis. On the x-axis, you're not okay with me and I'm not okay with me. You are okay with me and you are not okay with me. So we will go to the first quadrant, that is I'm not okay, you are okay. This is the position of a child. A small child, when he is depending on people around him, mother, father, any elderly person, he gets away from helplessness. जैसे छोटे बच्चों के 100 खून माफ है, इस तरह की बात हो जाती है, कुछ गलती भी किया तो उसको छोड़ दिया जाता है, बच्चा है बोल के. So here he says, I don't know, therefore I am making mistakes. I am not okay, but you are okay. I depend on you. So it is predominantly taken care of by the child of a person. He always looks up to somebody or the other in his life, where he says, I'm not okay, I'm not good enough, but somebody other than me is good, and therefore I'm ready to take whatever instructions are given. Now put yourself here in this situation where you are always not okay. It means a critical parent is going to do something with you. He'll keep on criticizing you. He'll keep on patronizing you. For some time you may like it. But after some time you will say, hello, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. You are audible.
Okay. So, because I saw the members' screen disappear from my screen, so I thought, where have we gone?
No, no, ma'am.
Okay. Now this person for some time will enjoy it because there is somebody he can depend. But all his life he cannot be in that position because we grow. We become bigger and bigger and more mature. And once we get mature, we don't want to continue to be in that position of I'm not okay. Later on, we start saying, okay, I'm okay. And you are not okay. That is a position where adolescent, when we come to the adolescent stage, that is the position we like to take up. Because all adolescent, they are at the time growing up to be adult. They are in that transition phase where they have a lot of questions, and whatever they think, it does not match with their parents. They think my parents don't understand me and they don't know anything. I know everything. So I am okay and you are not okay. That is the reason why they keep having arguments with their parents. And parents don't understand them and they don't understand their parents. So this is one condition where they are one-up position. I am better than you. And that is one of the reasons why parents have problem when the child is in the adolescent age. Most of the parents, they come and say, my child doesn't listen to me. Why? Because the child has changed his position from I'm not okay, you are okay, to I'm okay and you are not okay. He thinks whatever he or she is doing is perfectly all right. My parents don't know anything. Life has changed, times have changed. My parents are old fashioned, so they don't understand what is happening in the world. And therefore, they tend to put them or set them aside. There are situations where parents may be a very strong-headed person. The child also may not be very good. He doesn't have a very good opinion about himself because from childhood he has been treated the way he has been treated. Now he is in a hopeless position. He thinks I am not okay. But if I am not okay, you are also not okay. So अगर मेरा कुछ नहीं होगा तो तुम्हारा भी कुछ होने वाला नहीं है. So that is the position one takes, and this is a person who is always rebelling, who is never going anywhere. There is no way out for this kind of a person, and it's a very hopeless situation, very negative situation. And over the years, as we become more and more aware of ourselves, it is always good to move towards that position where I feel okay about myself as well as I feel okay about others. And that can only happen when I'm able to accept myself as I am. Then only I will be able to accept others as they are. So accepting oneself is one of the biggest challenge all of us have, because we accept others when others accept us. I feel good about myself when people say you are good. Why can't we be happy with ourselves as we are? And this is something which we have to learn in our life, to be happy in whatever position we are, in whichever situation we are. Now there's another quadrant I have placed here. I am okay and you are not okay. What are their characteristics? They are very receptive, aggressive, they put others down, they have a feeling of superiority, and they are interested in others' feeling and thoughts, and they do not take any feedback. They think, I'm perfectly all right. The other quadrant is, I'm not okay, you are okay. They are very manipulative. They create a situation in such a way that people come to our help. They don't have self-confidence, neither do they have the self-respect. They do not trust people. They're very suspicious because they do not trust themselves. They are on the depressed side, demotivated, and they like to follow a routine because if the routine changes, they feel threatened. Now, the most hopeless situation is, I'm not okay and you are not okay. What are the characteristics of these people? They are introjective, they are passive, they have they do not have self-respect, they have very negative feelings and thoughts, and they are demotivated. Now, if you see the lower two quadrant where the person says, I'm not okay, in one side, others are given little respect, but in the other side, no respect is given to anyone. If I am not getting respect, I will respect no one. If I am not treated well, I will treat no one very well. But let's move to the left top where it says, I am okay and you are okay. They are mentally healthy people because they have accepted themselves as they are. They are able to speak for themselves. They are assertive. They have the confidence. They respect self as well as others. They take responsibility for selves. They are motivated people, and they are interested in others' feelings and thoughts. They are sensitive to others' feeling and thoughts, and they are the honest people because they are what they are, and people can see them through. So this is what is the position we all need to move towards, or rather aspire to move towards. And if we are in that position, we are in a healthy and a happy position, and our interpersonal relationship will also be healthy because we will be able to accept others as they are. Now, how do we reach that I'm okay and you are okay position? So there are strategy. One of the strategy is stroke. The best example for understanding stroke is, I'm sure if you have a pet in your house, you will understand. When you go home, your pet is so excited to receive you. And you are also very excited to see this pet of yours. And what do? You spend little time stroking that pet. If it is a dog, you will touch his head. If it's a cat, you will make the cat sit on your lap and stroke. A feeling of goodness. You will give a positive feeling to this cat of yours. Now, this stroke we can give to human being. So don't think we are going to go and touch people, but it can be done otherwise by giving some kind of a recognition. Strokes are the units of social recognition in terms of being and doing that the individual gives and gets in a transaction. And it may be verbal, it may be an eye contact or a handshake. Now, strokes can be verbal. The moment we acknowledge somebody's presence, that is a stroke for that person. Let's say you go to a party and the host leaves everyone and says, "Arey, you have come, so nice to see you." You feel so welcomed into that party. But if you walk into a party and your host is busy talking somewhere and you know that person has already seen you, but he hasn't come to welcome you, how will you feel? You do not get a stroke. So you feel negative about that person. And you start thinking, why did I come to this party if I'm not given due recognition? Similarly, eye contact. When we like somebody, we communicate a message through our eyes. There is a sparkle in our eyes. There's a smile in our eyes. And we accept that person. And we raise our eyebrows and we say, wow, very good. So eye contact is there. Then of course, handshake. There are different types of handshake that comes in the body language. I'm not going to get into it, but I'm sure each one of you will have an experience where you felt welcomed because you were given a very nice firm handshake, or it was a limp handshake as if a person was not willing to even acknowledge you. So these are certain things by which we give each other a stroke. There are different types of strokes. One is positive stroke. It is an act of stimulation or recognition where we say, you're doing good, very good, how nice, excellent, keep up the good work. So, you know, you are giving a positive stroke which is very pleasant, which can strengthen your work, and it affirms your being, and it helps you to grow. Other kind of stroke could be negative, which can have a very disturbing effect on somebody's life. It can be very nasty. I'm sure all of you would agree that people spend a lot of time gossiping. And what is the agenda of gossip? It's never a good thing. It is always unpleasant. What are the negative things about a person? We love to talk about it behind their back. If we are strong enough, we should be able to face that person, and whatever is not good, we should be able to tell that person in a nice way so that he improves. But we never do that. We always are good in front of people, but we can be very nasty, very destructive, very unpleasant for a person, and that affects a person very negatively. And nobody can say that I never gossip. I think everyone gossips at some point or the other. May not be, the degree of gossip may be different, but no one can say that I don't gossip. Third one is conditional stroke, which our parents do sometimes, our teachers do sometimes. When you were in 10th standard, your parents must have said, get this much of marks and then you will get it. So there is a condition attached. If you do this, I will give you a stroke. I remember when I cleared my 10th standard, I got a wristwatch. Those days, wristwatch was a big thing to get. Today, young kids are wearing the wristwatch. Now, I think it is a bike, a bigger bike or something like that. So with time, the incentives have changed, but there is always a condition attached. If we do well, then we get something. And that is one of the reasons why the student is always under pressure. A person is under pressure that I have to perform. Then only I'll be accepted. Then only I will be loved by people. Then only people will recognize me. So this is a lot of pressure on the person to even collect some strokes. And it is not a very healthy situation. Last one is unconditional stroke. It is given for being what we are. Our parents love us in spite of ourselves. Our true friends love us, accept us in spite of ourselves. So there is no condition attached to the respect that is given to us. They just love us, they just accept us as we are, with all our negatives, with all our faults, with all our good things, just as it is. If we are accepted by people, then it is an unconditional love. So a mother tends to have that unconditional love for her child. Sometimes mothers also have conditions. So I would not say that mothers have 100% unconditional acceptance for their children. So these are certain strokes which we need to exercise on a daily basis. Whether people are there or people are not there, we need to exercise strokes, because it only helps people to move towards sense of being I'm okay. And if the sense of being I'm okay is there, then they start respecting others, they start accepting others, and they say you are also okay. And then both of them have a win-win situation. Finally, we have come to the last slide. And how do we use TA effectively? We have to strengthen our adult. Adult is fact related. If we are in the real world, let us be in touch with reality. We should not go by imagination. What if? What if? Most of the time we go into imagination. If that would have happened, if this would have happened, let's not go into it. What has happened is a fact. What has not happened, we do not know if it ever would happen. So strengthen your adult and be in the adult most of the time. I'm using the word most of the time, not all the time. Because if you become an adult all the time, there won't be much of a difference between you and the computer. We are human being, we are not machine. So we need to have the child in us. Exercise your okay child. Okay child is the free child, the spontaneous child, the impulsive child, the loving child, the giving child, the carefree child. As an adult, sometimes we stop being a child and we think, I'm an adult, I cannot behave like a child. But let me remind you, my friends, we all have a child inside us, and we need to exercise that child as often as possible. And then we will be able to live a very spontaneous life. Avoid parent of others, both the critical parent as well as the nurturing parent. Our own critical parent and nurturing parent is enough for us. We need not depend on others' parent, because they are speaking from their experience and we have our own experience. So let us depend on our own experience and take care of ourselves. And then very important part is look for an okay child in others. Recognize that okay child in others. When we recognize and give a stroke to their okay child, their sense of being gets enhanced and they feel good about them. And you need to also feel your okay child from time to time. You need to realize that I have a child inside me which needs to enjoy itself. Keep a contract with others. When I say keep a contract with others, means when we talk about something and we promise to do something, keep your word. Most of the time, our interactions, our relationship gets affected because we do not keep the contract. We betray each other by not keeping a contract. So it is very important for all of us to keep the contract with others. Be open with people. If your child is okay, if your adult is okay, and you have less of your parent, then you can be a very spontaneous person who will be in the reality, and then you can be open with people. There will be less of pretense. There will be more of authenticity. Give positive strokes publicly. हिंदी में एक कहावत है जंगल में मोर नाचा किसने देखा? आपने अकेले में किसी को कॉम्प्लीमेंट किया तो क्या उसको पता चला? लेकिन if you compliment a person in front of others, the others will also add strokes to this person, and that adds the volume of the stroke, which will make a person feel good. So when you give a positive stroke, try to give it publicly in front of others, and that is more genuine. Confrontation is not a dirty word. Sometimes our relationships gets bad, it gets toxic, but we do not confront. It happens most of the relationship, especially in the relationship within the family. Wife tends to keep quiet for the peace of the family. Husband tends to keep quiet because of the peace of the family. But if something is not okay, we have every right to confront from the adult, not from the parent, not from the child. Let adult be the controller when we are confronting. And it is not a dirty word, it is not a wrong word. We need to confront, because confrontation is the best way to resolve conflict, where everything can come into the open, and whatever misunderstandings are there, they can be taken care of. Do not be afraid of confrontation. It may appear to be very unpleasant, but in the long run, confrontation plays a very important role in resolving conflict. Learn to express your thoughts and feelings clearly and objectively. It is always good to calm down before you share your thought and feeling. When we are upset and at that time we are expressing our thought and feeling, it can be loaded with so much of emotion that the reason will not work. So you need to calm down first and then talk about your emotion, and it is good to talk about it instead of expressing it in an action which people will not be able to understand. We can say, I'm angry, this has made me angry, but when you act angry, it creates problem. But when you talk about your anger, it doesn't create problem. Be factual and be descriptive. From the adult, it will talk about facts and figures, so you can be descriptive. For example, a behavior can be described. Do not put any evaluation to the behavior. For example, a student comes to your class and you can say you are coming late to the class, but usually क्या कहते हैं हम लोग? आइए आइए लेट लतीफ, पधारिए लेट लतीफ. So we are tagging, we are putting a name to that person. We are being judgmental, we are being evaluative. Let's not be evaluative. We have to talk about the behavior, not the person. And if we are more descriptive, nobody can contradict us. If we say you are late, the watch says that the person is late. But if you say late Latif, how many times a person may have come late? He may have come twice, thrice, not always. So we cannot put a tag to somebody. And last but not the least is, don't say yes when you want to say no. We need to learn to say no in a positive way. And then nobody will make use of us or misuse us in our relationship. And we will have a dignified position in our relationship that will lead to a healthy interpersonal relationship. I will conclude here. Transactional analysis is very helpful in our day-to-day life, in day-to-day interaction with our colleagues, with our family members. Try to use it as much as possible, and I'm sure you will see the effects. Thank you. Thank you so much for listening with all the disturbances. There was something which was beyond our control.
Yes, thank you, ma'am. Thank you for such a wonderful and informative session. And yes, definitely, I think for many of us, it was more or less a new topic. And I hope that everybody could understand it. There is one question, ma'am, in my personal inbox, and it says, if a person is shy or timid, how to develop the confidence to be confronting?
First of all, we need to understand why a person is shy. A person is shy because one doesn't have confidence. So somewhere
Yes.
we have to first build one's confidence. And that confidence can be developed by giving opportunity and using certain strategies by which he or she recognizes his own potential, his own talents, wherein he realizes that I am capable. The moment that feeling of I am good enough, I am capable sets in, that level of confidence will increase. And thereby, this person will try to come out of that shy, so-called shy phase. And we have to give opportunity to this person to explore himself under non-threatening situation. When I use the word non-threatening situation, means people who are known to the person, a close group, wherein he is or she is given a chance to say a few words, narrate a story, or if a person can sing or recite a poem, give an opportunity of these kind. And from there, the development will take place. That is one way. Another one is being physically active helps a person to have a better self-image. So that should be inculcated in all the students. If you look back into our childhood, after the prayer, we used to have PT. What was the motive of having PT after the every day? Everywhere stretching, bending, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Till the count of 8, we were supposed to stretch 1, 2, 3, 4, and all that. That was the idea, is to make a person feel physically good. That energy level increases. When you are physically active, your energy level increases, and then you straight away go into maths and English. Why? Because the brain has got more oxygen, more understanding power. So most difficult subjects must be taught right at the beginning of the day. And as that person gets little tired, then history, civics, and those subjects are taught. So there is a reason for these kind of timetable that is set in the school. So physical activity is very important, and I've seen students who became physically active became a very extrovert person who were known to be very introvert people. So self-awareness is very important. So we need, and it will not happen overnight. It takes time. More and more opportunities needs to be given to the person. And of course, the positive stroke will play a very important role in it.
Yes. So first, a person has to develop that type of self-confidence to go and confront.
Yes.
To any situation.
Yes. Unless we have confidence in us, let's not go for the war. Because he will not be able to deal with the situation. After putting himself in that situation, he will realize that I have put myself in the soup. So that is not a good idea.
Right. Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Ma'am, I wanted to ask you a question. That there are 3 kinds of behavior, as we know as psychologists: assertive, dominating, and submissive. Does it have anything to do with this transactional analysis stages?
See, being assertive is a characteristic where you are able to speak your mind without being very aggressive. Most of the time, there is a very thin line between being assertive and aggressive. So people perceive you as aggressive, you are trying to be assertive. That is why in transactional analysis, what we are trying to teach people is to first respect the opponent, first give him due respect, accept him as an adult, and then talk from your adult. So when we talk in terms of facts and figures, there is no discrepancy.
Right.
And when you talk in description, nobody can deny.
Sure.
So description is what? What is description? Something which can be seen, which can be observed. So if I say you misbehaved with me, you will say, how did I misbehave? I was absolutely polite with you. Now, how will you say that you misbehave with me? You have to describe the behavior.
Okay.
So
Right.
description is very important. We have to learn to describe behavior. Most of the time we become evaluative. That is where things go wrong for us.
You have to go non-judgmental.
Yes.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
Deepti ma'am, can you please switch on your video?
My video is not on.
No, your video
Yeah.
is not on, ma'am.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
After I came back, I think I forgot to put on the video.
Yeah.
Anyway, that time the slides were there.
Yes.
Ma'am, there is a question from a student that at times saying no is not always possible. So then what to do? Like in your slide, you had shown that we should say a no, but always it's not possible.
First, you have to check why it is not possible. If you know for sure that it is really not possible, then you have to say yes, but with your condition that under these circumstances, I'm saying yes. You at least explain your position. And whenever we say no, saying no straight away would be rude. You should be able to give justification as to why you are saying no. Somebody who is close to you will understand you. And they will respect you for saying no at the beginning itself. But you must have a proper justification for saying no. Don't say no because yes, you want to say no, because we learnt in TA class, don't say yes when you want to say no. You should have a reason to say no.
Right. Correct.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. There is another question by a student that how do we make an effective use of transactional analysis to excel in academic life?
In academic life, you have students around you. Some of them are better than you. Some of them are not so good as you. Now, when we talk about I'm okay and you are okay, it says that I accept myself and I accept others as well. That is where we have to use our TA technique, keeping our adult in place. There are people who are better than us. We should not feel low or below dignity to reach out to those who are better than us. At the same time, be open to those who are not good enough in academics. So you can be a bridge between good in academics and not so good in academics. And if I, as a teacher, I know it is only when you teach that you learn better. When you just passively receive things, you don't learn much. But when you start transferring it to somebody else, your learning, your concepts become more clear. So are you willing to give that much of yourself to people who need you? And are you humble enough to reach out to those who can give you something? So you have to have that openness. And it can only happen if you are in a position of I'm okay and you are okay. So first try to have that healthy feeling about yourself that I may not be good in studies, but I love myself. And there is no harm reaching out to those who are good, better than me. In my experience, what I have seen, those who are very good in studies they wait for people to ask them for help. And there are people who are not good enough, they like to withdraw within themselves, they don't want to come out. So in my class, what I used to do, if I was able to identify, I would change their position, especially in the statistic class. One good student and not so good, the weak student. And when they would solve the problem, I would say, solve it together. So it was the weaker student who would take the help from the brighter student. And both of them were benefiting because one is teaching, concept is becoming much more clearer. And the other one, when the student teach, their communication level is at the same level. When the teacher teaches, it is slightly higher and lower. So that communication is much more effective if the good student has understood your concept. So transferring that knowledge to a not so good student becomes very effective.
Thank you, ma'am.
Ma'am, just one last question I'll take, because one student is constantly asking me, though it is a bit out of topic question, but she's asking, what is emotional fatigue and how to deal with it?
Emotional fatigue.
Yes. And how to deal?
First thing is, we have to understand what is fatigue. Fatigue means you are tired, right?
Yes.
Now, physical fatigue, how is the physical fatigue occur? Because we have exhausted all our physical strength, or we have done something which is beyond our capacity, and therefore we have a sense of fatigue. Similarly, emotional fatigue is similar to this physical fatigue, where we have been emotionally so either excited or too many emotions are happening at a very short time, and we are dealing with so many emotions that after some time you say, oh my God, now I can't deal with it. That is the feeling when we say we are having that emotional fatigue. So just like when we overdo something physically, we have physical fatigue. Emotionally, when we overdo emotional in a situation where too many emotions are there, we need to withdraw from that situation and be with ourselves to be able to revive ourselves from that emotional fatigue. Let's say, for example, a situation is there, like you have a program in the college, and this person may be holding some position who has been given a lot of responsibility of arrangement, and he is supposed to arrange the physical thing as well as deal with people. And teenagers will have difference of opinion, एक जन रूठ जाएगा, एक जन काम नहीं करेगा, दो की लड़ाई हो जाएगी, ये सब होता रहता है कॉलेजेस में. And this fellow has a problem that he has to perform in spite of everything. So he goes out of his way, and then he is also carrying the burden home. जब घर भी जाता है तो वो यही सोच रहा है कि मुझे ये कैसे करना है, इसका रिजॉल्व कैसे करना है, ये दो जन की झगड़े हो गए हैं, इसको कैसे रिजॉल्व करना है, काम कैसे कराना है. तो these are certain things which is draining him of the emotion. And to a certain extent, what happens, because it is again ego. If I share with somebody, people will think that I am not strong enough. So one doesn't share. And therefore, it becomes overwhelming. So one thing is, we need to share the emotion with people who have no connection with the situation. Maybe our parent, our friend outside our college, maybe a teacher or counselor, anyone in whom you can confide. Second thing is, we need to learn to switch on and off. In my career as counselor, as a teacher, I was counseling students throughout my life. And there were situations where one of the problem was such that we tend to carry it home. And then next day you don't feel fresh enough. I remember, I'll just share this incident. In one of the session, there was a time came where the fellow got blocked and he didn't want to talk to me. And without saying a word, he just got up and walked out. I got a shock of my life. I said, मैंने ऐसा क्या कह दिया ये लड़का भग गया. And then I was very upset. I said, counseling कर रही थी and I have heard this fellow. Then I talked to one of my friend and I said, this is what happened. She said, madam, wait. After 3-4 days, the fellow will come back. And exactly that happened. After a week, that boy came when he was ready to talk. And then he said, madam, that day I was so upset that I didn't have the heart to talk about it. And I didn't want to cry, break down in front of you. So I walked out. But today I'm going to talk about my problem. So these things happen. From that experience, I learned that we have to, when we leave our counseling chamber, we need to leave problems there only. We cannot carry it and let it interfere in our personal life. So a person has to learn to switch on and switch off. And it is possible. We need to practice it and we can do it. In fact, in LNP, they teach you how to switch and switch on and switch off because it is the language of the brain.
Yes.
You have to self-talk that now I am not going to think. And that helps. And in fact, being in a position of a principal, I have used it on a daily basis. Switch on and switch off.
Right, ma'am.
तो
मैम ये आर्टिफिशियलिटी तो नहीं हो जाएगी कि हमारा बेसिक नेचर वो नहीं है, लेकिन we are doing compulsorily learning something which is not our own nature.
I think then we come back to the definition of personality. Personality is dynamic. There's nothing static. Person can change.
Yes.
So if we can change, then our nature, we can make an effort to change certain things. Basic will remain, but we can bring about a change in the way we think. And if our thoughts change, our feelings will change. If our feelings change, our action will also change. So change is the only constant.
Yes. True, ma'am. Thank you so much. And now I'll request Dr. Priyanka Masi to propose a formal vote of thanks.
Thank you, Vandana ma'am. It's my privilege and a big honor to propose the vote of thanks, especially for Deepti ma'am. I, on behalf of St. John's College, and especially on behalf of Department of Psychology and the entire fraternity of the college, would extend my most sincere thanks to God Almighty. And thanks is a good spirituality. Gratitude is not only the greatest of virtues, but it is the parent of all the others. And here I can't stop myself from quoting from Bible, which I always do when Deepti ma'am is there. It's from Luke 6:40. The student is not above the teacher, but everyone who is fully trained will be like their teacher. And I am the fortunate one to have been trained under Dr. Deepti Christian since my graduation day. And even if I become 1% of what she is, I would be fortunate enough. And this vote of thanks, it's not just a formality for me. It's right from the bottom of my heart. And she has been a true sense of a friend, philosopher, and guide. And ma'am, today, the way you have explained transactional analysis, I'm sure each and every participant, those who were right now in our meeting, and even later, those who will be viewing this program on the YouTube channel, would really benefit from it. And a special thanks to our brilliant and truly outstanding principal, Dr. S.P. Singh, who has been the backbone behind our sessions, right from conceiving this idea to start the interactive weekly sessions. He has been humble enough to give us this platform, the Department of Psychology, and we have been able to serve it in a good way, which was not possible without the hard work of our head of the department, Dr. Vandana Patankar, and our colleagues, Dr. Preeti Masi and Ms. Aisha Begum. And I would really thank all our other colleagues from all the departments who have been supportive in a direct and indirect manner for the sessions going on. And I would now like to thank the technical support. Although there has been some technical snags, especially today, but then that is a part of the virtual sessions. We are getting used to that. And a big thanks to the students and the other guests who have been always supportive in our sessions which are going on. And as Dr. Vandana had mentioned it in the beginning, today we are going to stop with our sessions. We are not actually going to stop. We are just going to give it a break. And maybe within a month or two, we would come back with all the suggestions that we have got from all our participants. Once again, thanks to Dr. Deepti Christian. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you, ma'am.
you, ma'am.
Thanks
My
a lot, ma'am.
pleasure.
It was indeed a brilliant session with lot of inputs which you brought in from diversified fields. Very insightful, very relevant. We really had you in the beginning of our series, and it was good that as we have come to a final episode, final kind of talk of this season, you are here to kind of culminate it with such a bright and a very insightful session. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you very much.